Everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychek with Queen Bee Creations. Today, one of the things that I like to give you is just some insight into my creative process. Everybody's is different, but with coming up with 2, sometimes 3 videos a week, usually you guys are wondering, how the heck do you come up with those ideas? So I like to share some of that so that you see the inspiration behind some of the ideas, some of which are lovely, some of which aren't. So those of you that give me thumbs down on some of the videos, hey, I'm with you. Some things sometimes I'm doing some things that aren't quite my style, that don't quite turn out how I would like. But I hope that even though they're not your thing, that you leave the video with maybe some ideas of how you could do it differently, how you could do it better, how you could switch out some of the items that I use and turn it around, make it your own more than anything else. So today's inspiration, today's video is from a lovely customer. So Betty Ann, you know who you are if you watch this video. She does awesome woven rope wreaths, and she ends up with a bunch of rope ends. So little leftover pieces of rope. You can see where she had taped them together to be able to weave them together. And she also had gifted me with some little blocks done by a woodworker who pieces these together and carves them out, and he does amazing charcuterie boards and coasters and things like that. So I thought, I'm going to use these together. So here's the idea. I'm going to drill a hole in here big enough to fit this. So I'm going to drill a hole, stick this in, glue it up, let it firm up. I have this bead. Now it's a little bit bigger, the hole, but big deal. I'm gonna put some wood fill in there, stick this in, and let that harden. And this, I'm gonna paint gold. So I wanna do that, get that all done before I start the next step so that it all keeps my rope on. So I'm going to drill, glue, and paint. Okay? So when I come back and this is all together looking lovely, okay, hopefully nice and straight, you know what I did off camera, okay? You're with me? If you don't have a drill, then you use a pot with foam core in it, right? Or floral foam, and you stick this in the floral foam and you put a little bit of, some moss around the base. So don't think you have to have something like this. If you cannot drill, you don't have a drill, don't buy a drill, then switch out the base for something that works better for you. You can if you don't have access to floral foam, but you've got some air-dried clay, you can put some air-dried clay in there and stick it in which case you could put it into anything, a little teacup, maybe a little, broken, the lid is gone, sugar bowl, whatever. So be creative in terms of your bases, depending upon what you have access to. Okay, so there's no rules about it has to be exactly what I've got. If you want a star topper, put a star topper. If you have, access to something else, you can form it out of air-dried clay and put it on the top. So we're just going for the rough idea. This is all about inspiration, where it comes from, where you can take it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go off and do. And because of the magic of video and editing, I'll be right back for you. Okay, so this is our finished stand. We've got the hole drilled in. It's just hot glued down in there, hot glued into the top, painted a soft gold. Now, for the most part, this wood is going to be covered by our rope. But, oh Lord, you'd think I'd learn by now to make this loose before I start a video, but no. I wait to share that moment with you. All right, so what I do have is Dark and Decrepit by DIY. It's a self-sealing product, and you can use it as a stain, you could use it as a top coat, whatever you'd like. So I'm just looking at doing it very lightly, and you know what? An organized person would have done this before they attached it, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm just gonna kind of lightly stain this out. So the base has 3 different colors or types of wood perhaps in it. So I'm hoping that this stain will take differently on that base and we'll get a slightly different look, but we'll see. Okay, what I have started to do is to cut my strands, 2 of each in the same size. So I'm just, this last guy, seeing, okay, what size? All right, it'll be full length. All right, so let's start at the top with our smallest one. And what we're gonna do is fold both of these in half as loops. We're gonna put one on the bottom, one on the top. And then we take the 2 ends, push them through the opposite loops. So one is gonna be pushed down, the other is gonna be pushed up, and then we're gonna pull them tight. Okay? So we're just gonna kind of work them back and forth, pull them as tight as possible, and pull them up to the top. The next strands that I cut were cut maybe about 1 inch longer on each end. So I've kind of cut them that they'll go in automatically the triangular shape. I may have to cut it back once it's done because I couldn't go much shorter than this and still be able to get the loops through my rope. But here's the key. You can see that as we do it, we end up with this on each side. So what we want to do is we want to alternate our loops. And let me just make sure I'm doing this the right way. So that, you know, whichever way was on top, then and which one was on the bottom, we alternate them so that we get that kind of piece alternating down our tree and then push it up tight to the top. So you can see already I'm gonna have to trim this down because even though I alternated the cutting of them, this is longer here than I wanted, right? So I'm gonna end up cutting it much tighter, but it gives a good start. And I wasn't sure how many I needed, but so you can see what I meant about this alternating side. So now we're gonna want it over on this side so that we don't get that one straight line going down. So we just alternate all the way down. Can't remember which way it goes. Nope, other way. You'll see it before you put them through which way is the right way to make it happen. But I'm just gonna continue alternating these all the way down, and then we can take a look at starting to trim our tree up. This is just kind of a cute, fun, quick little decoration that again was born out of, you know, a customer showing up with these ends saying, can you do something with them? So we'll see how it looks when we're done. Now, I am going to actually turn this around so that I am faced with it on an angle. And I'm going to start trimming this a little bit tighter. So I'm gonna start at the top and just start to cut my way down through this cording. And as thick as this cord is, it actually doesn't cut too badly, as long as you got some nice sharp scissors. So let's talk options here. You can, let me just kind of regroup, make sure I'm kind of cutting in a good line. So with this cord, you could just leave the tree as it is, right? So we could cut this and just leave it all kind of wound together, and it'll kind of have a little bit of a frayed end to it because these will unravel a bit, or we could deliberately unravel. Cut those a little bit shorter. Because as we cut this, you can see it has a bit of a downward turn to it anyway. So that one of the things that I'm looking at is I need to cut it, I need to have a less fat tree. So it's kind of experiment. It's going to depend upon the rope you're using and how it lies. Okay, one of the things I did do is I put a dab of hot glue down at the base just to keep them from sliding down. So once this is cut, this could be your tree. This could be it done. Because this cording unravels though, I'm just going to, and it's going to want to do it anyway, I'm just going to unravel the 3 big strands that make up the cord. And so here's some options. This is made up of 3 strands. You can unwrap this and I'll show you what it looks like. But you don't have to stop there. Each of those big 3 fat strands is actually made up of tons of small strands. So you could unravel each of those little strands and you could brush them all out and have this be much kind of bushier down the sides. And that would work too. I'm just going to take a look at it with all of those funky 3 strands. And they're all kind of, you know how when you undo braids in your hair, well, I always had short hair, so not me, but other people with long hair, and they undo the braids and you got all the nice waviness. That's what this rope is going to look like. And I'm just doing down one side, so I'll show you. So you've got comparisons, but it's always nice to have options, right? So there we go, and one more. All right, so I started to do the top here, but now you've got all this action happening. And if you want, each of these you could also undo and have all that funkiness happening and all those little threads. I'm going to take a look at it just undone with the 3, and I'm thinking I may just leave it wavy. But if you wanted extra fullness, you can untwist, and I'll maybe show you one. So if I take one of these strands out, then all of this is made up of all these little fibers. So you can untwist all those, and you can actually take a brush and brush them all out, and now you've got all those little fibers sticking out, so that instead of all these little waves, little little wormy squiggles sticking out the sides, you would have all of those fibers and all of those hairs instead. So again, giving you a completely different look. So you could do 3 of these trees and they're all in the same look and the same color because you're using the same cording, but you could leave one where they're still woven together, do one where you've just unwoven the big strands, and then do one where you unravel all the little strands. And now you've got a little trio. They all go together, but they all have a different look because of those fibers. So this is what this version ends up looking like, right? So kind of funky. I'm just debating whether I'm going to take the time to unravel all of these so that I see. Now, one of the things you can do is these ones on the bottom, you could cut shorter if you want to. You could start trimming this out more. Certainly, if you do all the little fibers and you start brushing it, you may want to be able to do that. I'm kind of liking it with these little wormy waves happening going out. But there you go, a quick little craft, a quick little Christmas tree from Gifted Items. So again, Betty Ann, thanks honey, hope you like it, and we'll see if I end up unraveling more, just in the interest of seeing what it looks like. But hope this gives you some ideas and some inspiration. I mean, a little wooden dowel and a wooden bead, and then whatever kind of fibers you have using this kind of crisscrossing motion. You could do this with ribbon very easily. You could do it with pieces of fabric and do a rag Christmas tree in this same technique. Any kind of thick, fat yarn would look great. So definitely take a look around the house, grab whatever tools you've got, give this one a try. Hope you do. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.